Hey friends, welcome back to the Guitar Max channel. So a couple of weeks ago, I was able to check out a Badlands guitar for the very first time. Now that guitar was incredible, but it was like a one-off model that the company had made just kind of as a showroom example of what they could do. Well, thanks to that video being so popular, I now have been able to get my hands on one of their brand new models. This is the Badlands GX1 Pro. This guitar is a neck-through model made in the USA. It's like the previous Badlands guitars if they just cranked them up to 11. This thing totally rocks. Let's check it out. Okay guys, so to start with, just look at this thing. Talk about a dream guitar. This is like the Lamborghini Countach poster of guitars. I hope that makes sense. And on the topic of looks, this finish here is one of 4 new finishes that this model has here. So they've got this one, which they call the Mystic Blue Hot Rod. Then they have the Inferno Red Hot Rod. Then they have the Sunset Bengal and the Retro Bengal. And then they have some other models that all feature like solid colors, but they're all nice, bright 80s colors like we would expect from Badlands. Now, when it comes to specs on these guitars, there's a lot to go over, but some of the bigger things is these are made in a brand new Badlands factory in Maryland, and they've got some really cool things on here. Like it's a neck through, like I said, it's an alder wings, like an alder body, a neck through maple neck, ebony fretboard, 24 frets. These are big, fat, jumbo, extra jumbo frets. And this bridge right here is a really cool part of the guitar because sure, Floyd Rose, top of the line, Floyd Rose, no big deal. But if you guys know about Floyd Rose bridges, you'll know that the OFR original Floyd Rose, you know, the best of the best that Floyd Rose makes, historically has actually been made in Germany. Well, just this year, they switched manufacturing to the USA. So this, I believe, might be one of the first guitars you can buy with a USA-made Floyd Rose bridge. And I use the bridge a lot in the demo. You'll hear all that when we get into it. And this bridge is just absolutely rock solid. Now, up here, they have Spurzl locking tuners. And then as far as the pickups and controls, that's where it gets really interesting because these pickups, these are Badlands' own hand-wound pickups that they have. And the previous Badlands guitars have had, you know, their own pickups. They sound great, but the control system is fascinating because we've got a volume control, we've got a tone control, we've got a mid-boost, an active mid-boost control right here. And then instead of a regular toggle switch setup or a blade type switch, they went to the individual mini switches to control the pickups. So you can turn the pickups off and on however you want, and then you use all 3 of these controls, which will apply to all of the pickups. Now the mid-boost control is really cool, and it reminds me a lot of the classic Charvel setup from back in the day. But again, you'll hear that when we get into the demo. But just so much about this guitar is taking inspiration from the classic 80s shred guitars. So it's like 80s shred guitar vibes and style, but with modern manufacturing capability. That's really what you're getting with these guitars. And they did just such a good job on the overall build quality and the execution of these guitars. Okay, so I've been talking about all this stuff. Let's hear some more from the guitar. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this in. We'll listen to how it sounds. But of course, guys, real quick, if you enjoy videos like this, checking out cool new guitars and staying up on all the latest news in the guitar universe, and you have not already subscribed, please consider subscribing right now. Okay, let's plug this sucker back in and listen to how it sounds. Okay, so let's talk about the sound and playability of this guitar. Now, I gotta say, I am using pretty much the same recording setup that I typically use for my demos. This guitar sounds like noticeably better than the other stuff I've been running through my rig. There's something about just the build quality in terms of like the fret leveling and all that stuff, the action, the setup, and in particular these pickups. The tone of this guitar really, really impresses me. And the thing about it is you get a wonderful tone without even trying to get a great tone. So if you have a really just kind of like weak picking attack, or you just absolutely nothing about pick angle and harmonics and that kind of stuff, all the ways that you would normally get an interesting tone from a guitar, even if you don't do any of that stuff, you just automatically get this really nice, fat, robust, kind of like easily aggressive tone that just naturally comes from this guitar. Now the thing about the control layout here with these mini switches, right, because the mini switches take the place of what you would normally have with a toggle switch, right? I thought that that would be really strange, but after playing this guitar, I got used to the mini switch layout within maybe a couple of minutes of playing the guitar. Like if you want to switch between two positions, you kind of just go like that, like twisting your wrist or something. Like I've got the bridge pickup on, I want to switch, I want to turn the bridge pickup off and go to the neck pickup. Well, you don't have to go like boom, boom. You can just, you can just do it in one motion. Same thing with the middle pickup. And if for some reason you want to shut them all off, which makes it into sort of like a kill switch, again, you can do all that in one motion. So even though you might look at it and you think like, well, that's kind of weird, it's going to create extra movement for you, once you actually start playing it, it becomes super intuitive and easy to use. Now, the mid boost is a really cool option. I'm glad they put it on the guitar, but there's a couple important things about it. One is that it's an active mid boost, so you've got your 9-volt battery back here. And even if that battery goes completely dead, there's still regular passive pickups in the guitar. So you don't have to have a battery that's charged up back there in order to get sound out of the guitar. It works just fine without it. And the pickups on their own without the mid boost sound fantastic. Okay, this just kind of like thickens up the tone, the mid boost does, I should say. And in particular, I really like it on the rhythm stuff actually, and with like the bridge pickup, because it gives a beefiness to the tone that you wouldn't normally have. It's kind of similar to adding a little bit of like a boost or an overdrive pedal in front of the guitar. That's sort of the effect it has. The other thing about the mid boost is that it ramps up like not in a linear way. So you start turning it up and it has a little effect, a little effect, a little effect, and then about the last maybe 25% of like turning it up to full power, then it starts to like boom, then you really step on the gas there, right? And then it really kicks in. But I think the way you would end up using it would be kind of like an overdrive pedal. I don't think you're going to just turn it up a little bit and leave it there. I think you're going to like get to your solo and reach down and roll up that knob all the way so you have the boost on for the solo. Then when you're done, you roll it back all the way off. I think that's how most people are going to use it, either all or nothing. Okay, the other thing I want to talk about here, I'm going to set this guitar down extremely carefully because this guitar is not actually mine. I'm just borrowing it from the Badlands guys. But check out this poster that came with the guitar. How awesome is that? So each of these different finishes, the paint jobs on the guitar, right? So there's 4 different posters like this. I guess you could buy all 4 guitars and collect all the posters. Okay guys, look, this is an awesome, awesome guitar. But the elephant in the room here, right, is this is made with top tier components in Maryland, in the United States. No, these are not cheap guitars. $2,000 to $4,000 is kind of the range that the Badlands guitars are in. This guitar specifically is about $3,500, and then the versions with the simpler solid color paint jobs are around $3,000. Of course, I've got links in the video description to check out all the new guitars they have. Now, obviously, $3,500 is a lot of money, but when you compare that to the going rate for a brand new USA-made Jackson or Charvel, that $3,500 is actually quite a value. But I just want to warn you guys now, when you go over to the website, mentally prepare yourself to use your credit card. Okay guys, there it is, the Badlands GX1 Pro, and the GX1 Classic, I believe, is the other version of the guitar where they just do the solid colors. There's a few other differences. Again, check all that stuff out on the website. But let me know what you think about this guitar. This guitar, I'm extremely impressed with. I mean, every little detail on the paint job, the fret polishing, the binding, also goes around the headstock, and this little like paint job up here on the headstock which matches the body. They're all different depending on the finish you get, right? There are so many little tiny details on this guitar that, and they're all so well done, right? I mean, I talked about Badlands before in the previous video, and I checked out that other model. That was a bolt-on model, still with a really cool paint job, still a cool guitar, but that was one of their earlier ones. And I think I said in that video, you know, if this is a sign of things to come from Badlands, then we're going to be in for a really fun ride. And they delivered it with this guitar and these other GX1 models. These are super, super cool guitars, and I'm just really glad that Badlands exists as a company that is just going all in on making those awesome 80s inspired guitars. Obviously, I love that stuff, and I know a lot of other people do, so I'm glad that there's a company out there that has dedicated themselves to doing it. Okay guys, again, let me know what you think about this down in the comments section below, and I'm going to have links for everything I was talking about in the video down in the video description. I'll have a link, of course, for the Badlands stuff, as well as the Boss IR200 that I used in the demo, my YouTube online course, everything, social media. Guys, thanks a ton for watching. If you enjoyed the video, thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you very soon.